folks, drama, indeed high wire drama, in Mululu, Western Kenya. The burial of a matriarch named Hannah Mudavadi, the mother, of course, of Musalia Mudavadi. Indeed, so much happened at that funeral that I believe it's correct to say the Mululu Declaration. The long and short of what virtually every leader said was that it was time for President Uhuru Kenyatta to crack the whip within the Jubilee Party and bring order. Some of the Wazir leaders even went as far as suggesting that the president is being soft. Of course, they suggested between the lines that he's being too soft on his deputy president. In fact, Francis Atwoli told him point blank, "Be like your father." The president's response, of course, borrowed from his blood brother with permission, in case there's a copyright. His response was, "Usione simba imenyeshewa alafu dhani ni paka." Don't see a lion that is drenched, wet from the rain, and make the mistake of mistaking that lion for a domestic cat. Now, regulars on this channel will remember that in my last video, I said that Deputy President William Samoei Ruto had finally learned the importance and the impact of timing in political moves, in launching his brand new party. And I said that Team Keleweke, the handshake brothers, had no option but to respond as soon as possible. Not responding to the latest DP Ruto moves was not an option. Well, what happened in Western Kenya is a resounding response, and we shall go very deeply into that shortly. Now I can hear somebody saying, "Chris, why don't you start by talking about this horrible habit of our politicians of turning a funeral into a political rally? People are mourning, and then you go there and you start politicking, issuing political statements, discussing politics, attacking your political enemies." And I totally agree that it is a very bad habit, tabia mbaya sana. However, in the case of the burial of the mother of Musalia Mudavadi, this was a special case. Because sample this, the Mudavadi family is a political family. Musalia grew up eating, drinking, thinking politics, because that was what was discussed at the dinner table. The family is a political family, and I'm not making any excuses for anybody. I'm just saying that it may have been very difficult at the funeral of a family that has produced 2 generations of prominent politicians. It may have been very difficult to avoid politics. Anyway, there's no doubt that Mama Hannah Mudavadi was a very special woman. She and her late husband, Moses Substone Mudavadi, father to Musalia, started this family in very humble beginnings. It is said that on her honeymoon night, she spent the night on top of banana leaves. What? You know, there are two types of people who come out of somebody who went through some very humble beginnings. One type forgets, is very proud, pretends that they've always been rich. Yeah. The other type never forgets. And throughout their lives, you can see the compassion they have for others. Yeah, you're in Nairobi, you make the effort to make a call all the way back home in Vihiga, and you give instructions. Yeah, let these people go into my house and eat food because you know their circumstances. Yeah, you're in Nairobi, you're very comfortable, but something is still nagging you about what's going on back home. That was Mama Hannah Mudavadi for you. In fact, her late husband, Moses, used to complain. Yeah, he would ask, you mean there's some people living in this boma, in this homestead, and I'm not aware? Yani, this woman with a heart of gold would host people. Yeah, and she saw no need to ask her husband or to involve him. And she was such a humble woman. The long and short of her life is that she touched so many other people. The point I'm trying to make here is that we often see the character of parents in their children, so that you don't even need to meet the parents. When you see maybe one of their sons or one of their daughters, you have already met them. For instance, you have never met my late political lecturer, but many of you regulars on this channel know the man very well. Musalia Mudavadi is a very humble, patient, forgiving politician. Yeah, qualities that make him a potential president of Kenya. Indeed, those are the best qualities anybody would ask for in a president. And what happened in Western Kenya this weekend was that the funeral, the send-off of Mama Hannah, was used to market fully Musalia Mudavadi as the 5th president of Kenya. And for those who are able to read between the lines politically, it also came out very clearly that his running mate will be Peter Kenneth. Folks, in all likelihood, based on what we saw over the weekend, and based on other events, many of which we've covered on this channel, it would seem that this is the most likely Team Kieleweke lineup for the 2022 presidential elections. A quick disclaimer. Politics is extremely fluid. Yeah. Things could change very dramatically tomorrow. However, as of now, as of this minute, this is the most likely lineup for the presidency, as far as Team Kieleweke is concerned, for 2022, which is super fascinating because it would throw all the well-laid plans of Team Tanga to win that presidency into the dustbin. And I'll tell you how. All their plans, all their strategy so far, and I'm talking about Team Tanga, has been very clear. Yeah, and it is assuming that they'll be up against Raila Odinga for the presidency. It is the main reason why they're fighting BBI with everything they have. It is the main reason why they have turned the anger of Kenyans against the government, the anger of Kenyans against the very tough current conditions in the country, economic, They have turned all that rage against the BBI, and very successfully at that. It is because the BBI is Raila Odinga's child. So what are they going to do when the candidate they are up against is Musalia Mudavadi and Peter Kenneth? And these two have all the backing of ODM and the president's men. What will they do? And of course the backing of Raila Odinga. What will they do when it becomes very clear to Kenyans that the BBI is a legacy project of President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Amolo Odinga? What they want to leave behind for Kenyans, the gift they want to bestow to Kenyans as they exit the political scene. Yeah, something very selfless. How are they going to respond to that? In my view, that would be something very difficult to recover from. Yeah, because people ask themselves, you mean these people were bashing Raila and Uhuru, and yet these people are not even running in 2022? They were telling us that Raila will be on the ballot in 2022, insisting that Raila is desperate to be president, and that is why he wants to use BBI to become president. And now it has turned out to be a lie. That is the kind of political problem that can be extremely difficult to recover from. And that's the truth. Now, before I move on to the next point, I want us all to be on the same page and to take note of the way politics is done in Kenya. And if anybody cares to look back, even to the Jomo Kenyatta days, and especially to the Moi days, you will realize that what happens is a certain narrative is created, and politicians start repeating this particular narrative like a broken record. And when they have repeated it enough times, even if it is just in one meeting, the president stands up and gives that narrative a rubber stamp of approval. This is exactly what happened in Western Kenya this weekend. And it is the reason why I am convinced that it was pre-arranged, choreographed, organized, and it was a very effective response to the latest developments within the DP Ruto camp, which seemed to suggest that the deputy president was ahead of the game at that particular time. Not anymore after the drama of this weekend. Not anymore. Let me also remind you of something that happened, I believe last week, that is linked to what we're discussing. You will remember that Musalia Mudavadi gave a lengthy interview on what can be done to revive the Kenyan economy. I want to believe that these were the early stages of promoting, selling Mudavadi as a potential presidential candidate. Now, this is a very smart political play that has Raila Odinga written all over it, of shifting the focus away from Ruto versus Raila, to Musalia versus Ruto. And then shortly after that series of interviews, Musalia's mother passed on. And I believe, that the strategists of Team Keleweke and the Handshake brothers decided to use the funeral of the late mother. They decided to take that opportunity to further their agenda and this particular strategy that they're bringing to play, to deal with the deputy president's camp. For the sake of younger Kenyans, Musalia Mudavadi has a track record of reviving a Kenyan economy. It happened in 1993 when he was appointed finance minister. The country's economy was in very serious trouble. But 2 short years later, things were very different. Things were looking very positive. The economy was looking like it was recovering. Bottom line, he has done it before, and therefore he can do it again. And of course, it is obvious that the next president of Kenya, one of the qualities that will be critical in that candidate is the ability of dealing very quickly with the economic problems facing the nation. No other presidential candidate in the horizon has the qualifications of Musalia Mudavadi. You could have paper qualifications, but this is somebody who has done it practically, and he was dealing with the Kenyan economy. Anyway, the huge point here is that it was not an accident that speaker after speaker after speaker at both 2 major services, in honor of the late Mama Hannah Mudavadi, spoke precisely the same thing, castigating, firing barbs at the deputy president, and proposing Musalia Mudavadi as the next president. I can assure you that if a genuine poll was done, you would discover that the profile of Musalia Mudavadi has risen tremendously amongst Kenyan voters. He is now looking much more like a potential prospective president than he did just 2 weeks ago. Senator Malala, the funeral service, was so bold as to tell President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga that they owe the Luhya nation, the Mulembe nation, a debt. And a debt has to be paid. And the debt is to support, to put all their weight behind Musalia Mudavadi to be the next president of Kenya. Kitui Governor Charity Ngilu told Kenyans that if they were to make the mistake of electing somebody as president, then Kenyans should expect bloodshed to return to the country. And it was more than obvious whom Ngilu was referring to, although she did not mention any name. What I expect going forward is that this Musalia Mudavadi for president narrative is going to be stepped up. And I suspect that Team Tanga will take quite some time to adjust. I think they will still keep on bashing Baba and the president and ignore Musalia. If they do this, that will be a mistake. And that's not all. In the middle of this narrative, to carry this narrative will be the story that is gathering momentum in the country very fast. That we have been ruled by 2 tribes, now going to 60 years. And yet we have very many communities in Kenya, over 40. And therefore, we must elect somebody who is not from those 2 communities in 2022. Now that one floors the deputy president immediately. And that one will also be very difficult for the deputy president's strategies to counter, because it is a very strong point, very strong narrative. And what will make it even harder for Team Tanga to counter the Mudavadi candidature is the fact that the man hardly has any skeletons in his closet. Now everybody has skeletons in their closet, but what I mean is that it will be very difficult to find any skeletons in Musalia Mudavadi's closet. That is the truth. And to make matters worse for Team Tanga, the character of Musalia Mudavadi is the very opposite of the character of William Samoei Ruto. And of course, the character of Musalia is very quickly lovable, unlike that of the deputy president. Forceful, vengeful, insulting to political opponents. Yeah, that's the style of the deputy president. You have heard the deputy president referring to Raila Odinga as Muganga, yule mtu wa vitendawili, etc., etc. That is his style. Now, every year, I usually make a prediction video of what the coming year will look like. And there's one major prediction I made in 2019 about 2020, that did not come to pass. I predicted that in the year 2020, the team Keleweke versus team Tanga scoreboard would be settled once and for all. That contest within the ruling Jubilee party would come to an end. It didn't happen. But if you've been following closely the events of this still very young new year, 2021, you will realize that we're hurtling very rapidly to such an eventuality. And I have a gut feeling, and even based on what we heard the president saying in Mululu, the funeral of Mama Hannah, I have a feeling that very soon there'll be a major cleanup exercise within the Jubilee Party. And in any case, the formation of the new DP Ruto political party, the UDA, will have forced the hand of Jubilee. They must clean house as soon as possible, bringing order to the party, and getting away from this situation where we have an opposition within the ruling party. How does that work? And it'll have to start with the deputy president making a decision of whether indeed he is the president's principal assistant as per the constitution, or he is not. He is tired, he is fed up of being the president's principal deputy, principal assistant. He has to make that decision as soon as possible. And I believe that decision will be made for him by the Jubilee High Command. In other words, the deputy president will exit Jubilee, either voluntarily, before the axe falls, or he'll be forced out. A house divided cannot stand. Jubilee, the house, cannot stand for much longer if it remains divided the way it is now. And don't forget, the 2022 general elections are now dangerously too close. People have to start house cleaning. People have to start preparing the vehicles that are going to be used in those elections. And you don't want to take into those elections a vehicle that is in a mess, divided, with an opposition within it. And therefore, bottom line, the next few weeks should be very fascinating, game-changing weeks as far as Kenyan politics is concerned. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please remember to like it. If you're not yet a subscriber, please subscribe. Both those two actions will help us a great deal in our mission on this channel for a better Kenya. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.